All right. Electrobalance. The balance part of this deck's name refers to Restore Balance here, which pays homage to the card Balance from one of the first Magic sets. Only this card does not have a casting cost. So it is a card where you're generally, when this card was designed, you were expected to suspend it for 1 mana, and then 6 turns later, Balance would happen. Now, this deck doesn't want to wait 6 turns. In fact, waiting 6 turns for anything at any point in Modern usually means you're very, very dead. So the Electro part of this deck's name comes from Electrodominance here. Electrodominance deals X damage to any target. You may cast a converted spell with converted mana cost X or less from your hand. So even though Balance and Visions and Crashing Footfalls, these are cards without casting cost, their converted mana cost is 0. So what this means is with Electrodominance here, if you cast Electrodominance for red, even with 0 X mana, you can then use it to cast Restore Balance, Ancestral Visions, or Crashing Footfalls. And similarly with As Foretold here, As Foretold is another card that lets us kind of get around that suspend mechanic. So all 11 of these cards are cards that we can cast right away with As Foretold and Electrodominance. The rest of this deck is cards like Opt and Serum Visions to help us find what we're looking for. We've got some Izzet Charms here as both interaction and card selection. And then we've got Greater Gargadon here as we got Greater Gargadon here as a way to kind of soup up our Restore Balance. So suspend 10, and you can sacrifice an artifact, creature, or land to remove a suspend counter from this. So what you often do with this deck is you suspend Gargadon, and then when you cast Restore Balance, you sacrifice all of your lands, so you destroy all of your opponent's lands in addition to their board. Let's go ahead and dive on into some match with this one and see how it goes. Hex, thanks for the 7 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. This is it CCBM? Yeah, CCBM. Look at that. I remember the username. This is their modern deck of choice they've submitted to the queue a few times now, G-Goat. And it's been super reasonable the times when we've played it, so I'm happy to play reasonable sweet combo decks in Modern. Even this deck is sweet because even when you're not winning matches, you still have sweet games a lot of the time. I saw a couple people in chat using the raid command. That's Raid Shadow Legends that we've done sponsored streams with before and that I've talked about on stream off and on, even in non-sponsored segments. I play a ton of that game on my mobile. So if you're interested in an easy way to support the content, the campaign for that one's a little bit different this time. They're counting specifically PC downloads. So if you download Raid on PC using my link there in chat and play through the tutorial, that's an easy way to support my content. If you play through the tutorial and you like the game, you should pop on into the subs Discord server. We've got a channel in there where there's probably 2 or 3 dozen of us that chat about it pretty regularly. But even if you're not into it, downloading and playing through the tutorial is a free, easy way to support my content for anybody out there. If we hit 180 people that play through the tutorial on PC, I get a stretch goal bonus. So I appreciate everybody that takes a couple minutes to. I think it takes like 3 or 4 minutes to play through the tutorial at most. And if you do play it and like it, the PC account transfers to mobile as well, so it's on mobile and PC. But my counting for that only counts for PC downloads that download and play through the tutorial there. Suspending Ancestral Visions on 1 here, very, very good against turn 1 Inquisition. So this is some card advantage waiting to come to us here. Ancestral Visions is one you pretty regularly suspend in this deck, especially in the more fair matchups. Thanks for making my work from home not suck so bad. Nice new sponsor too. Thanks for the 5 months, Jake. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Oh, it is as a happy bonus to the raid sponsor. They want me to do a little bit of it on stream again. So Wednesday, I was originally going to take Tuesday and Wednesday off this week, but I'm adding a stream on Wednesday. So Wednesday I'm going to be live for I think 3 or 4 Magic decks to start, and then we'll do a little bit of raid after that. So adding another stream day because I didn't want to replace Historic time on Thursday or Friday with a different game. So I want to play a ton of Historic after the new cards drop. It's the banner restricted list update. Wait, are there that many people that care about Legacy and Vintage? I guess Legacy's probably got a decent sized community. I don't think so, CCBM. I think there's enough fair decks in this format that AV... There's enough fair decks in this format that Ancestral Visions is a fine keep on suspend there. And if I draw like an As Foretold, the mana's fine. Oh, Brawl players waiting for bans. The Brawl ban's going to be Drannith Magistrate, right? What's the monetization model of Raid Shadow Legends? They are they're a gacha. Is it gacha? It's not gacha. It's gacha. I'm not sure how to say it. It's a word that's Japanese in origins, which means vending machine. So it is a free-to-play game where you can also purchase progression stuff. So you can buy extra things to open heroes faster, or buy extra things to get extra gear and stuff like that. Gotsa. So how do I pronounce TSJ? You put a pronunciation up there? It's actually Japanized English. Is it just gotcha? Yeah. You could spend as little money as you want as an actual zero, or you can spend... there really isn't a ceiling on how much money you could spend on the game. I play it a lot and spend a little bit. My monthly raid budget's like $100 or so while I'm playing it, because I play it a ton. There's a couple of people, some number of people in our Discord channel that they don't spend anything on it. Hey, Dr. 11. Thanks for the 3 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, there's definitely people that, like, spend, like, 5 figures on the game. There is a ceiling in how much money you can spend on it, and it's how much you have. It's actually just straight Japanese. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know how to pronounce it. But you can just pronounce it like gotcha all the same. Okay. You regularly get squished by whales. So, the majority of the content in Raid isn't PvP. So, like, there's a PvP arena where obviously people spending have a little bit of an advantage, but the majority of the content in Raid is single player style combat things, and there's a thing called a clan boss that the group of people that you work with together to down it every day. So the whales impacting people who aren't whales portion of the game isn't really that large. Like there's a lot of content that you can do and play in the game and enjoy. Like I think I played for close to 2 months before I even really touched the arena portion of it. Like I've been playing the game for almost 4 months now, or 4.5 months. And yeah, 4.5 months, and I'm just barely really getting into the PvP part of it. Our opponent has disconnected here, unfortunately. Just hanging out. They have a Lurrus here that I assume they were casting with this Mishra's Bubble. They could be some kind of tempo deck. They could also be something more controlling here, too. There's a lot of different flavors of Lurrus in this format. That being said, even if my opponent starts generating card advantage with Lurrus and Bauble here, not only these Ancestral Visions, but if we peel like an As Foretold off the top to start casting these things, will be in a pretty decent spot. Have had a lot of opponents disconnect on Magic Online today. That doesn't bode well for our hero. In terms of content being quick. Yeah, usually scheduled ban list updates are posted 90 minutes from now. Like, obviously, that's not a guarantee. They don't have it strictly set, but generally speaking, they happen at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And then hopefully, really hoping that they announce there's going to be changes in standard in a week. But I'm also not holding my breath on that. My big question, so like for people that weren't following the standard tournament over the weekend, Red Bull had a 2,600 player tournament. All right, and they're back. And Jeskai Lukka just had an absurd win rate in this tournament. Like, Jeskai Lukka was almost 20% of the field. It converted to almost 40% of the day 2 metagame. It had, like, without removing mirror matches, it had, like, a over 60% win rate in the tournament. And, like, an over 60% win rate with, like, almost 500 people playing it in a 2,500 player tournament is, like, really absurd. And if you pulled out all the mirror matches, those 500 pilots were almost certainly to have played. Its win rate's going to be higher than 60 because win rates... Yeah, so MTG Melee does not pull mirror matches out. So I don't easily have access to the win rate with mirrors removed because mirror matches pull win rates back down towards 50 if they're above it or pull it up towards 50 if they're below it. So this was above 50, so the mirror matches dragged it down. So I don't have KCI's win rate, but I retweeted a Frank Karsten tweet that the Mythic Championship where Hagak was legal before it was banned, Hagak had a 56% win rate, and they eventually went on to ban that. Todd Turkey, thanks for the 2 months. So I can't fathom that like they're gonna leave this legal. Or maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe they're just like are so scared to ban things in standard now. Yes, yeah, that's a good extra too. It was 56% after taking out the mirrors. So it was 56% after taking out the mirrors. So we'll see here. We have an Ancestral Visions coming off suspend here, but we could end up getting this negated. They could be something more controlling here. Not sure exactly what the opponent's doing. I have no idea, Dr. 11. If you want to scrape that data, you can scrape that data. I also think that, like, if the deck list is doing well, it's a Swiss tournament that's pairing based on match record. So, like, maybe you get some free points in the first round or two if you think there's a lot of decks like that. But, like, once you get into past that, like... This current standard format is the worst standard has been since I started playing standard regularly on stream with Guilds of Ravnica. And Guilds of Ravnica is my #1 favorite standard format of all time. It was phenomenal, and I loved it. This current format could not be further from that. Just could not be further from that. What I would give for Teferi Time Raveler banned in all formats. I agree. In happier news related to standard chat, you see that mono red aggro deck, standard deck in the stream title? That's the last standard deck in my queue. That's the last standard deck in my queue. So we're gonna be a little bit of Moto, a bunch of historic, maybe occasionally some other random variety streams sprinkled in, but we're gonna be off the standards for a while. All right, with all our colors of mana here, I think we're just casting the old Spirit Guide now at this point. Punt count infinity. That sub count's moving up towards infinity. Thank you for the 45 months. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. What standard card are we talking about? We're talking about the Lukka archetype in general, the Jeskai Lukka deck. The Jeskai Lukka deck over the weekend in the Red Bull tournament had a 60+% win rate over a very large sample size, almost 500 people playing it without removing mirror matches. No, I'm not. I don't think playing the Jeskai deck is very interesting in Standard Charizard, so I don't intend to play Standard even if someone tries to submit me. For less than $50, I'm not playing Standard. I'm gonna be honest. I will slog through 4 matches for $50 or more, but I'd be surprised if there's people that want to pay that. Do you feel it has longevity? Yeah, I'd be, if they're able to pump out some more characters, I feel like the game's gonna have a ton of content, dude. Like, so like our first run with the character Sal in Griftlands took us our first run with the character Sal was almost 4 hours thereabouts. So like Rook, we played the second character Rook for like 40 minutes yesterday, and we're hopefully gonna finish that up right now. Yeah, and it's like right now through June 11th, it's $5 on the Epic Game Store too. So like for literally the price of a Magic booster pack, you can buy the game. If you like that genre of game, cannot recommend picking it up enough. We're gonna finish our run with Rook tonight. Yeah, for 4 hours, and we played it on the easiest base level setting with no modifications. And it's a game where there's lots of variations where you can put on each of the characters. Yeah, Sniper. So, for people that aren't familiar with the Jeskai Lukka deck, the reason why it's obnoxious is Lukka always turns a token into Agent of Treachery. So the absolute nuts best draw in the standard Jeskai Lukka deck, they make tokens on turns 3 or 4, and then they put fires into play on 4, and then their turn 5 is cast Lukka, turn a token into Agent, steal one of your lands or other permanents. And then turn 3, or on turn 5 as well, you also play Yorion, blink the Agent, steal something else. Where can you get the game? You can check out the game on the Epic Game Store here at my link, bit.ly/Jeff Griftlands. It will be listed as $14.99, but the Epic Game Store is currently running a coupon that automatically gets applied. So when you go to checkout, it should show a $10 discount on there. That knocks us down to $4.99. Okay, so they're probably dead next turn. So we're going to... So we'll go red, 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 blue, blue, and then we'll start sacking stuff. And we'll go Electrodominance. If they have Force of Negation here, we could be in a lot of trouble. But if they don't have Force of Negation, they lose the game. If they don't have Force of Negation, we lose the game on the spot. I should technically attack them for 2. It doesn't matter. Gargadon has haste, but it's not going to come off suspend this turn. It's still got 3 counters on it. So again, this equalizes cards in hand, lands, creatures in play. See a little bit of our interaction here with our own Izzet Charm to protect our combo. So again, if they don't have a Force of Negation here, they're going to lose their board. Hey, thanks for the 45 months, Squishy. I appreciate that. Welcome back. They're just going to go ahead and concede. Why does it have haste? So the why that card has haste is actually kind of funny. So there was an article that was written during when Suspend was in Standard last time, where when they were play testing Suspend, people playing the cards just kept assuming that they came off of Suspend with haste. So rather than fighting human nature, they just gave them haste. I think I definitely want Fry in my deck. I don't know that I want Luris, or I don't know that I want Anger for just their Luris. Their fairy dragons get bigger than that. Mystic Dispute may or may not be good. You tend to board out Simian Spirit Guide in the fair matchups just because you tend to go a little bit slower when they have disruption. You want a higher density of things. That's actually so one of that same type of reason isn't always good because fun fact, the reason why we have Hexproof and not Shroud is because players just assumed Shroud was hexproof, so they changed to a different game mechanic that worked how players assumed they worked. Would I rather have Mystic Dispute or Leyline of Sanctity? My opponent has discard spells in their deck. They have some counter spells. I think that Leyline might actually be better. This also stops Bauble from looking at us. I'm going to try this. I might change it. See some folks using the raid command in chat. The campaign's a little bit different than last time, so if you haven't downloaded raid on your PC before and you want an easy way to support my content, download that using my link and play through to the end of the tutorial. If I have 180 people do that in the next week, I get a bonus from them, so I appreciate the support. And if you play the game and like it, make sure to pop on into the subs Discord. We got a channel in there where a bunch of us talk about it. Is it greedy to keep this? So, I think I'm going to mulligan this for two reasons. One, if they play a discard spell on one and take my opt, I could just like get caught with my hand in the cookie jar. Two, because I boarded in Leyline, I have an incentive to mulligan to find a Leyline in my opener. This hand's great. We're going to keep this. We're going to bottom Simian Spirit Guide. So I think post-board, when you have effects like this in your deck, that having this or not having this should always be your tiebreaker on a close mulligan. So like on that first hand where I'm like, oh, I don't know, this hand is close, I ask myself, do I have Leyline? If no, mulligan. And I think I actually go ahead and I'm just going to suspend this AV on one. This game is likely going to last to a point where this comes off suspend like we did the last one. Hey, Brimstone, I'm excited for Thursday in the Open as well. Thantos Fellow, thanks for 11 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. As just a kind of general announcement, if you are someone who is playing in the Open on Saturday, it is imperative that you submit your deck list before the deadline. The tournament on Saturday is at capacity, and we have waitlisted players waiting for slots for people who don't show up. So at 7 a.m. Central on Saturday morning, if you do not have a deck list submitted, you will be dropped from the tournament on Melee, and someone who is on the wait list will get your spot. Should people on the wait list submit? No, people who are on the wait list won't be in the event to submit the deck submit decks. You have to be in the event to submit a deck list. So if you're on the wait list, you don't have to worry about doing anything in advance. Just be around Saturday morning. I mean, like, going for it doesn't really accomplish a whole lot, right? Like, I guess it, like, so, like, the question is, do I want to balance here? If I balance, it kills their dragon, and it discards 2 cards out of their hand. That might be worth it, but, like, they have Luris here, right? So if they go, like, land Luris, it's, like, recovers them right away. There isn't an article. So MTG Melee, the site that we're running the Hoaglandia Open on, ran the Red Bull event over the weekend, and all of their data is super transparent. So if you go to the Red Bull page on the Melee site, there is a ton of great data to fetch there. We can go for it on their draw step. Ooh, I like that suggestion. Yeah, because they're going to draw a card with Bubble here as well, right? Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that. Let's draw step. Let's draw step the Electrodominance. Because they're going to draw from Bubble and draw for their turn. So that means if they don't have a counterspell here, we get to get 4 cards out of their hand. So we get 4 cards plus their dragon. Take my Bezo bucks this month instead of a regular sub, because getting out of the army in the middle of a pandemic was a great way back into the real world. Thanks for the Prime support, Lyrics. And if you have Prime, just send me Prime every month. Don't send me your extra actual dollars. Prime on my end is identical to a tier 1 sub. So if you're someone with Amazon Prime, you should never feel bad about sending a streamer Prime instead of actual dollars. The exact same bottom line support on my side of the table, and I appreciate it all the same. Sweet, no counterspell here, so we get like, we're getting a 5 for 1, right? Or 5 for 2. We're trading Balance plus Dominance for 4 cards out of their hand plus their dragon on board. I don't understand why my opponent's conceding here. They have Luris here, and Magic Twitter has assured me that the overwhelming card advantage that companions provide is the most important thing about Modern, so I don't understand why they'd be conceding while they still have Luris. I don't understand how we were able to overcome their insurmountable 8th card. Maybe we can try and figure that out during the remainder of the league. How do bits work? I know it's not the same as money, but it confuses me how they do that. So, bits are a way to donate directly, except the person buying the bits pays the bit fee up front. So like, for example, I think it's like $25 for you to get $20 worth of bits. So you're paying the surcharge on it as the person buying the bits. And then like, when you cheer bits, the streamer gets the full amount that you're cheering. So like, when you cheer 100 bits, I get $1, 1 penny per bit. Whereas PayPal donations, when you donate $10 or $1 on PayPal, I get less than $1 because I pay the fee on the back end. And at the end of the day, I don't really care. Whichever way is easier for you or the way you prefer is great. I'm not picky about the way people support me. If you want to support me without using any of your money, someone in there using the raid command, feel free to give that a download and play through the tutorial. This hand's a little bit speculative, but like with the Gargadon here, if I just draw any mana source, I get to play As Foretold again. Yeah, and the raid sponsor is different than last time, so if you had installed it on mobile before, in this campaign, you could help me out again by installing it on PC this time. I feel like I shouldn't say this out loud because it's kind of jinxing it, but I've actually been very fortunate with regards to chargebacks on stream. I've been doing this full time with a reasonable number of donations for like 2.5 years now, and I've actually only ever had a chargeback one time on my channel. Yep. Yeah, and the goal for raid is they give me a bonus if I hit 180 installs in a week. $180 installs plus tutorial. That's the different part is they're counting tutorial playthrough this time, which is smart on their part, I think. I was actually surprised when they were just counting installs on the first couple of times we did it. I think you can drop yourself, Kuntz, but if you could ping Christy just to let her know there's a spot she can fill, that would be great. Okay, so I definitely don't need another Gargadon. Do I want a third land? I probably want to suspend another Gargadon this turn. I think I'm going to just fetch a mountain anyway, so I don't think it matters what I do with this. I have old monkey mana here to do this next turn. We'll see if I'm stabilizing high enough here or not. If they're just attacking for 1 here, that's really good for me. Thoughtseize, brutal. We'll see if they take As Foretold or Footfalls. Okay, so we could draw an As Foretold or an Electrodominance to have a good, decent turn. Browse deck seems real good with Thoughtseize. Do people still play Living End in Modern? I've not played with or against that deck in a long while. The link didn't work. Are you on desktop 11? This campaign's only for desktop. Oh, actually, the command says or mobile too, right? I'm gonna update that. Yes, so Ancestral Visions here, you see the little blue dot next to sorcery. That means it has a blue color identity. Yeah, so Raid is playable on mobile, but to support my content with this campaign, you have to install and play through it on desktop. So if you install it and like it on desktop and you're going to keep playing it, you can transfer your account to mobile. But for this campaign, they're only giving me credit for PC downloads. Yeah, I think Lukka's fine in other formats. I saw some people complaining. I saw some people complaining about like Jeskai Lukka in Historic and Pioneer, and I think in general the archetype's pretty fine in those formats with bigger card pools. I think the bigger card pools have better aggressive decks and other tools to beat down or go over the top of what that deck's doing. I think we're probably dead here, I'd imagine. So this doesn't kill my thing, right? They haven't, they don't have Revolt at the moment. Okay, so any third, if their last card's a non-creature spell, we die. Okay, so AV is coming off a suspend here. If we hit a Restore Balance and an Electrodominance, we could actually steal this game. Yeah, it is on my Twitter, Cryogenic. I believe it's under my pinned tweet. My pinned tweet has my schedule with the raid link under it. Yep. I appreciate that, Cryo. Okay, so we got 4 shots here. Need 2 cards and 4 shots, so unlikely but not impossible. Do they have lethal there if they pushed their own creature and then pushed yours? Theoretically, but I would have Force of Negated the one killing my thing, right? Alright, there's the Electrodominance, so we just need a Restore Balance on our draw step. The worst part about this game right now is I can't even shock this in to take control of the game. Yeah, I agree. I am super pleased that Wizards of the Coast decided to let Companions ride in Modern for a little bit. I definitely like Modern in its current state more than I have in a long time. I think of all the current constructed formats, Modern is my second favorite. After Historic. Okay, this is definitely a Leyline matchup. They have discard spells and burn spells. I think this is an Anger matchup. I think this is an Engineered Explosives matchup. They have 8 1-drops, which is probably, maybe this is too slow. It's probably fine on the play. They're pretty aggressive, so I think Simian Spirit Guide is worth keeping. Do I like trim some of my cantrips? I probably just don't have time to do this in a lot of the games. I think that's probably reasonable. Today is a ban and restricted update for Vintage and Legacy. Does it matter who you pick at the beginning? If you think you're going to play the game, you should pick the Wizard. Kale is the best. Gaelic is the best in my heart. they're all pretty fine. I picked Elhain, the archer, to start, and she was fine. She farms the campaign just fine. Yeah, I think I keep this. So we've got a couple of lands here. We've got a little bit of interaction. We've got Gargadon with the balance. We're just looking for an Electrodominance or an As Foretold. And we have a cantrip. Can a couple of mods delete the bans and the BNR command? Those are old at this point. What's my problem with Pioneer at the moment? Actually, I don't really know if I have a problem with Pioneer at the moment. It's just less Magic Online is less popular and less profitable for me to stream. So I've increased the price on Magic Online submissions in general, regardless of the format. And people have not wanted to pay that higher price for Pioneer, while people are regularly still paying that price for Modern and Legacy. So. I am told, so we've played a bunch of Modern, and I am told that companions in Pioneer had a similar effect that they had on Modern, which is that Pioneer or companions have made the fair decks better. So I'm told Pioneer is more fair than it was before with Theros, but it's probably still not as fair as it was to start. But again, I don't really have an educated or informed opinion on the format. We haven't played it in a long time. Lurrus is very popular in Pioneer too, sure. Breach and Inverter are still really good, but I've seen more fair decks of Pioneer games. Yep. Did I keep 7? Yes. We had an Izzet Charm, a Serum Visions, a couple of lands, a balance, and a Foothills CCBM. So the 7 was very reasonable. Hopefully they play another creature out here and we just get to anger them. Another discard spell's brutal. So, as foretold, easily the best draw in our deck. How about a land? That is what you're supposed to do, Dr. Jack. So someone on Twitter said comparing Jeskai Lukka to Hagak is just silly, to which I responded, yeah, I agree. Hagak's win rate was much lower. Got him. Got him. All right. One of your finest ways to cast balance, please, deck. Take a redraw. And for people that weren't here earlier when we were discussing this, Salt Summoner, thanks for the brand new Twitch Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Are we dead on board? Oh, yeah, because they get to recast the seal, right? That makes sense. A couple cards away still. Sometimes we are essentially what I would refer to as an A-B combo deck. We need component A in Dominance or As Foretold plus component B and thing to do with it. And sometimes you only find half. I did board in Leyline. Hey, good games, Blake. Good luck in the rest of your league. What was the win rate for Jeskai Lukka? The Jeskai Lukka win rate in the Red Bull tournament without mirror matches removed was over 60%. In comparison, Hagok's win rate at the last Mythic Championship it was legal with mirror matches removed was 56%. And the sample size of the Red Bull tournament is much larger than a Mythic Championship. There were almost 500 copies of the Jeskai Lukka deck in the Red Bull tournament. What was it? I don't have easy access to with mirror matches removed. You'd have to manually parse all the matchup data, Strider Stone. So it goes up by some number. What amount it goes up by, I don't know, and I'm not doing the work to figure it out. You know, all the data is on MTG Melee. Feel free to parse it yourself. I think we're opting on one here because I just want the highest chance to hit my land drops consistently. Vanu, thank you for the very generous tier 2 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome. No, if someone had already done it, I just would be sharing the actual number instead of telling you that they're not removed. I don't think that's already been calculated, Torbrand. Again, you could do Google searches. I'm sharing the information that I have. Yeah, but I don't think that's a relevant metric, Time Lord, because with a fairly large sample size like we have, you could assume that skill level was lower on both sides of matchups most of the time. So I think you largely just consider that to be a wash. Squeak the Week, thanks for the brand new tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hopelandia. I appreciate everybody that sticks around throughout the course of the year, by the way. Over the weekend, I could very easily tell that we had been 1 month since the set release because my sub count dropped by 300 points. The folks that are here for set releases and then mosey on to other things once Standard turns sour. They've all left, chat. They've all left and they're not coming back till M21. Oh, you know what? I should probably Serum Visions here first so I could draw another blue source. Did not. And then we're just going bottoms up here because I'm just looking for a third land. Right, Burke. Thanks to the brand new Prime support. Welcome to Oaklandia. Rodford, thanks for the 14 months. Thanks for keeping me around. If one deck is better, can you assume that a higher percentage of the better players would choose the stronger deck? I don't know that that's necessarily true, Tumos. I don't know that there's a good basis for that assumption, so I wouldn't want to make it. Insert Wit, thanks to the brand new tier 2 sub. I appreciate that. Or not the brand new, the 13 months of the tier 2 sub. Welcome back. Listen, it's early. I'm scattered. I'd like to say thank you for the great YouTube content. I found you there in the last week and finally caught you live as I'm usually asleep. Awesome, Squeak. I'm glad you enjoyed the YouTube stuff. Someone commenting, this is the third Luris deck in a row. However, it is worth noting that it is, we've played 2 different archetypes in 3 matches, I think is an important distinction. This isn't a land, but I think I'm actually going to keep it because it makes our balances much better. Are we close to unlocking new VODs? My channel will probably never have new emotes. We can swap out emotes that we already have for different ones, but we'll probably never gain an additional emote on this channel. Because the way Twitch emote slots work, you have slots based on a one-time peak of sub count. And when we did the pink hair and beard drive based on sub point, we spiked up to like 4,600 subs, which is like 50% higher than my average. So like, for example, I currently have 3,100 sub points. We would need 4,800 to get another emote. Is the raid sponsorship long-term? No, it's just a week-long thing again, Hunox. They don't seem to do long-term partnerships, which is fine. I don't mind getting paid to show them for a week here and there. The game's great, and I played a ton off stream. So I don't mind having an excuse to play it on stream and encourage others to try it on occasion. What color is your hair going for 5,000 subs? I don't know about that one. We're not dyeing my hair anytime soon. Going into a salon is definitely not an essential service. So we're not doing any goals like that until we're in like a post-vaccine world, I don't think. I've got dinosaur costumes we're going to do at some point. I need to figure out when exactly I want to bust those out that are going to be instead of the blue beard. Yeah, probably anaphylactic. As Foretold's actually great here. I'm going to bottom the land and keep the As Foretold. And then hopefully they tap out for like another Archmage's Charm at our end of turn and we get them. Correct. I also get to write off the money that I spend on raid on my taxes if they sponsor me occasionally. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, Puppy. Like, I saw on the news that South Korea had a resurgence in cases, and they had one of the best responses. So, like, I feel like there's a chance that, like, if all those things are happening in places, it'll be interesting to see what happens, even in places that have already handled things a little bit. Do I Electrodominance now because I can't, like, Snap Charm? I think I Electrodominance, but I don't sack my lands. Does that make sense? They're banning Lurrus. Lurrus is what they're banning. Okay. Well, I mean, to be fair, Jay Miller, our liar-in-chief in his latest propaganda session just, like, went on and bold-faced lied to the American people and said that the U.S., along with Germany, had the lowest deaths per million of people, when John Hopkins, from their data, puts us at the 9th highest out of like 160 countries. But again, like, typical day in the White House, orange man, sociopathic liar, can't help himself. Has a cult of people behind him that will just, like, help him lie. Feels like we're dead here. I suppose I probably have one more turn to draw a balance or a It's not lying if you believe it. Yeah. Yeah. It feels like that, right? To be fair, how many countries does he even know exist? Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad. Thank you for the 2 years of support, Captain Jack. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. The deaths per capita metric also isn't accurate because the deaths per capita that we have for COVID isn't correct because there's a lot of deaths from people who aren't being tested appropriately. We won't know the real number of deaths from this whole thing for a very long time, probably several months at least, until we can analyze total number of deaths in places and then compare statistical data from year over year and extrapolate how many additional deaths there were from people that weren't tested. So this is a fair matchup again. Unlike the first Grixis Luris deck we played against, this opponent does not appear to have discard spells in their deck, so I don't think we want the Leylines here. So I think I'm going to board in Mystic Dispute rather than the Leylines. Anger and Cage are interesting. I think I want Anger, and I'm going to trim these Spirit Guides. I'm curious, Baron. How do you know that she has it if she's asymptomatic or you're asymptomatic? Is that what you're saying? You're asymptomatic. Okay. The other lie that the Orange Cheeto has told a lot is that anybody who wants a test can get a test. That's not true in a lot of places in the United States currently. I'm going to keep this. This might be a hand where we just, like, make Rhinos on turn 2 and try and beat them down. We haven't had one of those games yet in this set. Okay, so with this draw here, I think I prioritize just killing their threat. And then next turn, I can play this with Dispute back up. Although maybe I'm supposed to do the inverse. Maybe I'm just supposed to make 2 4/4s here and then play this with Dispute the following turn. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense, Farron. Unfortunate they had Bauble to deal with this. I really hope that if they do ban something in Modern related to Luris, I hope it's this card. I hope they ban the Enabler and not the Payoff. Zilth, thanks for the half year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. When's the next announcement? So Legacy and Vintage are getting bans today, and if there are changes in other formats, they'll get announced next week. Or they'll get announced today to happen next week. Think Bauble should be banned, or do you think they should ban Bauble only if they want to ban something anyways? I think banning Bauble for good measure is a fine thing to do. I think Bauble's a garbage Magic card. If you would have asked me years ago, Jeff, should Street Wraith and Mishra's Bauble be banned, I would have snapped off yes. Manamorphose should be on that list too. Just all of the free cards that draw cards, just get rid of them. They don't do anything healthy or reasonable for the format. I also think they should unban Twin and Pod, because Twin and Pod are great. But yeah, in general, I think all of the free cards that draw cards should be removed from the game. Removed from this format. Feeling kind of dead. Hooglandia open with Jeff Modern ban list? No, we're not wasting the opportunity to do a Hooglandia open on Magic Online. That sounds god awful. I don't want to produce that any more than most people want to watch it. All right, 1 and 2. It's been a rough set. Our pieces have not been coming together so far today, and when they have come together, we've been getting pretty thoroughly disruptive. I maintain we ban basic lands to fix Magic. Just Island. Just Island is the meme, right? Hey, Knacker, thanks for 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Keep. Don't force me, bro. Have a heart. I hate this card. Modern Horizons severely reduced my enjoyment of this format. And this card is so frustrating and uninteresting to play against. At least we drew a land. Glass half full. Opponent notably exiled a Brainbore Cutthroat there. So I have to imagine whatever they're playing is about to be god-awful for us if they're just a bunch of counterspells. Force of Will is one of the worst parts about Legacy. The only worst thing in Legacy than Force of Will is Wasteland. That card is a Rancid Pit Stain. I think Wasteland single-handedly removes all of the adds as much variance back into Legacy as cards like Ponder and Brainstorm remove. My robot dog is named Exor in Griftlands. That's great. Did you see, if you like the pets, there's a modification you can add to your run that lets you have multiple pets in your Griftlands runs? which seems sweet. Maybe I'm supposed to keep the Force there since I have Electrodominance. Maybe I'm supposed to keep Force there. Wouldn't turn 1 combo decks run rampant without Force of Will, or am I misunderstanding the format? You're not misunderstanding the format, but you're misunderstanding my position on the format. The idea that Force of Will is the ideal way to keep turn 1 combo decks in check, as opposed to just actually having a flipping ban list, I think is incredibly stupid. So you're right that the format needs Force of Will because Wizards of the Coast refuses to do anything with the ban list. But in my opinion, games of Magic that come down to did they have the Force of Will and did we have the turn 1 combo are kind of nonsense. Like, printing Force of Negation into this format is a poor excuse for just not banning Simian Spirit Guide. Well, I mean, at least this opponent's not doing anything, so I just get to, like, suspend these 2 AVs and, like, hang out for a few turns again. No, I think they should ban Simian Spirit Guide. Much like Bauble and Street Wraith, Simian Spirit Guide's a card that never does anything very honest or reasonable. Think there's a chance Astrolab gets banned? I don't know. Is there an argument to holding these again to plan to end step AV and then untap an AV again? Nah, I don't think so. Can you explain why you think there's an argument to do that? Why is that better? My opponent has both Remand and Force of Negation in their hand, so... Sure. Those are actually great. I really dislike the describing decks as Luris decks. Describing decks as Luris decks is like saying, oh, we played against 4 fetch land decks in a row. Like, it's technically correct, but it's not meaningfully descriptive. Yeah, we also that's a better comparison. We played against 3 lightning bolt decks in a row, but nobody calls them lightning bolt decks, right? We call them Delver decks, though. Sure, but Delver decks, show me 2 drastically different Delver decks. So I think a Delver deck, and again, this is why, as with most things in life, there's nuance to it. I think it's okay to describe decks as Delver decks because Delver decks are tempo decks. There aren't really Delver control decks, right? Like, when I say Delver deck to someone, they know what that means. When I say Lightning Bolt deck or Luris deck, that doesn't elicit a specific type of deck setup. Shades of gray. Nuance. Devil is in the details. These little things really matter. We've been playing the alpha. The experimental build adds a third character. But I'm told the third character is not completely done yet. Okay, so I have 9 cards in my hand. No, we did not call Legacy decks Deathrite Shaman decks. I think I'm going to start by trying to Izzet Charm this Brazen Borrower. We know they have a Force of Negation. So I think the plan here is discard Crashing Foothills, and then we can Electrodominance plus pitch plus force their force next turn. I can also just Electrodominance now, and then not have to discard, and then try and Electrodominance the following turn. But I don't think that's good. Yeah, I think I'm just going to discard the Crashing Foothills. Why would I Electrodominance Visions at end step when I would just have to discard a bunch more cards? That seems god-awful. Oh, their end step. I guess I want Restore Balance to resolve more than anything else, so maybe that's fair. Hey, Redlocks, thanks for the 4 months. I appreciate the third of a year. Welcome back. So Force of Negation, because our combo's instant speed, being able to be a free counterspell for our combo on their turn is extra obnoxious. Hey, thanks for the 22 months. I appreciate it. All right, time to YOLO. Okay, deal. Don't have Force Blue card as your last card. Sick. Sick. Okie doke. And again, they're conceding because I have 2 Gargadons on suspend here, one of which is going to come off next turn. So, like, that game was really annoying. Like, my opponent countered a bunch of my stuff, and I was kind of annoyed while we played it. But, like, eventually they just died. So, Fry coming in to kill their blue threats. Dispute to counter all their blue spells. Need one more trim here. Again, trimming Simian Spirit Guide because I expect these games to go long and I want a higher action density in my deck. Probably trim Crashing Footfalls here. Let's do it. It's a decent pickup for down the line. I think we're keeping that. And then again, I think we're actually just suspending this. I'm not expecting either of these to resolve anytime soon. Bans are live. What'd they do? Can a mod make a bans command, please? Wow, they banned Zedra as well. Sure. So I think my plan is let this resolve and then just kill it with Electrodominance here. Sorry, I was tweeting. I apologize. Here's if you think their response to standard is nonsense, feel free to like and retweet this status. Likes and retweets appreciated. Likes and retweets save formats. I'm going to do this now so that way I can Mystic Dispute a 2-mana counter. This is why they don't like data, just for reference. So like when they make claims like they made here, and then I get to say no, here's the data from this big data source. They can't like when they don't have data public, I can't do that, right? People can't say, "Hey, that's not true." Like when they hide all the data, it's you just have to trust us. Everything is fine. Pay no attention to the agent of treachery behind the curtain. Is basically what it comes down to. God bless everybody in chat. That tweet's got 23 retweets on it already. Likes and retweets save formats, chat. Do your part. I think I just forced them back here, huh? Just like make them use another counterspell. And like again, we're currently being annoyed, but like we're not really that far behind. Snapcaster Mage is not a quick clock. My opponent's down to 1 card in hand. I have another AV on suspend. With mirrors, Jeskai Lukka was 57%. Without mirrors, it was 59%. So you're not looking at the full data there, Brunder. Are you just looking at the top 128 data? Or are you looking at the full tournament data? Because like the number you just quoted there is different than what's on MTG Melee. Oh, you added in both? That's 120, top 128 plus. Oh, I missed that. I missed that. In the Vintage and Legacy portions of this ban list article, they cited maintaining win rates above 55% as being problematic. Is it rude to put a clown emoji when it's probably rude. Is it appropriate? Is this appropriate? This is from the legacy portion of the article, with several variants maintaining win rates above 55%. In league play, matchup data indicates that metagame forces alone aren't sufficient to keep this. It is rude and appropriate. All right, I'm just going to put the upside down smileys. I'm just going to put the upside down smileys are more friendly. Let's avoid the clowns. Okay. I agree. I think the clowns would be appropriate, but I also think you're right that it would be rude. I'm not responsible for anybody else that responds to that tweet with clown emojis, okay? So you use anecdotal evidence backed up by one tournament. No, there have been several tournaments of varying sizes on MTG Melee where Lukka had an insane win rate. If you look at the LATAM tournament that happened on MTG Melee, I believe it had 140-ish players in it. It also had a very high win rate for Lukka, I believe around 60% without removing mirror matches. Again, just the Red Bull tournament alone is a pretty statistically significant sample size on top of my anecdotal data from the ladder. Yes, I agree. Calling a 2,400 player tournament where we had 500 people almost playing the best deck, calling it just one tournament is drastically underselling what it is. Yes, also, I'm like, again, if Wizards of the Coast wants to put all their cards on the table and be like, it's not a problem, give us all the ladder data. Give me the ladder data and show me in your tens of thousands of matches that the Lukka deck does not have a good win rate. Call. Put your money where your mouth is and give me the information. You think it's not a problem? Show me it's not a problem. Let's play this to play around Mana Leak. Just kill their Snapcaster. Correct. It would also be different if it was a rogue deck and not, again, almost 500 people playing it. And this is the thing I don't get. Just to, again, try and be impartial and analytical about this, I don't understand the argument that they're not banning things in Standard because they need to sell Ikoria packs. If anything, I think not banning things in Standard is going to sell fewer Ikoria packs because I don't think they need to ban anything from Ikoria. Like, I think if they take action in Standard like they should, nothing from the newest set should be banned. So, like, I don't understand why banning things that aren't in the latest set would impact set sales. Like, I don't think it's malicious. I don't think it's some suit said we can't do this to sell packs. I think it's they just genuinely don't think it's a problem. All right, I'm going to let their scries resolve, and then I'm going to go ahead and flash in Borrower here. In my opinion, if Wizard of the Coast came to me and said, Jeff, what would you do based on the information you would have? I would ban Teferi, Agent, and Wilderness Reclamation. Those would be the things I would ban. And I think all of those are great bans because not only would they balance the format likely, not guaranteed, but likely, but those are also cards that are rotating in the fall anyways. So not banning cards that wouldn't be rotating, I think, is ideal because those cards, all of those cards are going to be leaving in 4 months anyways. I think Narset's fine. I think Narset kind of sucks to play against, but there's Magic cards that suck to play against. I don't think Narset's power level is problematic. If anything, I actually think Narset is a good tool for keeping things like Hydroid Crisis in check. I agree that she is often a feel-bad card to play against, but I don't think I would ban her. Yes, Narset is also decent against cycling. And if you kneecap the Lukka deck, the cycling deck is going to still be good. I think Narset's a fine card to leave in. Yeah, I agree. I think Wizards of the Coast is genuinely afraid to ban things in Standard. I think there's too many people that eat crow that encourage them to eat crow too often for making bannings, and they view bannings as a failure state as opposed to something that's sweet. As opposed to something that's just like another tool. So we're going to get remanded here. Which, this remand's actually not that big of a deal, because we get to Electrodominance, kill the Snapcaster Mage, and then draw 3. Which is great. Yeah, I agree. I don't, in my opinion, it is a bigger failure to have something need to be banned and not ban it than it is to ban things. Wow, brutal. Flusterstorm. Yep. Yeah, I like my play here. Like playing this to dodge Snare, and we could also play around Mana Leak, I think is great. So I'm happy with my play. Mystic Dispute as well. Gross. It plays around Mystic Dispute also. How do we feel about sacking all of my lands and attacking them with Greater Gargadon? Is that too aggro? How many Brazen Borrowers are they through? Just one? They've only done one Borrower. They're tapped out, though. I'm up a game. Am I winning this race? This is a 6-turn clock. This is a 6-turn clock. We're technically ahead. All right, yeah, I'm just gonna play it safe. I think because we're winning this race on board, I'm supposed to play it safe. Hey, Hivemind, thanks for the 1.5 years. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Check out a few of our options here. We're gonna bottom that one. I guess we'll keep opt. What's really interesting, and I think this is the most interesting thing from that article to me. I actually posted a poll on Twitter over the weekend asking people what sustained win percentage do they think is too high and a deck needs to be banned. And this banned list update article cites 55% as the number Wizards feel is erroneous in Legacy and Vintage, which is honestly lower than I was expecting. Like if we look at my poll, where's my poll? A lot of people went higher than I would have gone. So in my poll, we had almost 2,000 people voting this, and most people felt 61 to 65% was an issue. Yeah, I was solidly in 56 to 60%. I think it should be the same in all formats, yes. In my opinion, it should be the same in all formats. This Brazen Borrower is going the distance. It's going full speed. It's all alone. In this time of need, I'm racing and pacing and plotting the course. What do you think of day 0 bannings and some? I think day 0 bannings are fine. I think if you're like, we printed this card and we thought it would be sweet. We thought it would be sweet for standard, but we're pretty confident it's going to break these older formats, and we just don't want to give it a chance. I think that's fine. Okay, I also need to play faster here. I'm actually 7 minutes down on my opponent here because we've been doing a lot of twittering and ranting. I have talked with Riot's design team, and they view a character having a 50% win rate or higher as being catastrophically bad. It's an interesting data point. We might have to play a third game here too, huh? To quote everybody's favorite planeswalker, pick up the pace. They gonna counter this, bounce my Brazen Borrower? Tap my creature, sure. I'm going to try and kill them. They have 5 cards. I'm going to try and kill them. I can take all the counters off of both of these. Alright, they could still have a bounce spell here. Could have Brazen Borrower. If they have Brazen Borrower, we're dead. Whew! Alright. Alright. Papi! Papi! For those of you that are in the Magic Arena waiting room, we've got one more match here in this Modern League, and then we're going to move on along. Thanks everybody for hanging out today. Welcome. Seen some folks in chat using the raid command. We're doing another sponsored segment with them. I'm adding a stream on Wednesday this week. If you want a really easy way to support my content, absolutely no cost to yourself, download their PC client using my link here and play through the tutorial. Takes about 3 to 4 minutes of your time. If I have 180 people do that in the next week, I'll get a bonus from them, and I appreciate the support. The game's actually a lot of fun. If you're a sub and you play it and like it, pop on into the Subs Discord server. We've got a channel where myself and many others talk about it pretty constantly. So my opinion of Griftlands. I've really liked Griftlands. I'd only played it for like 45 minutes off stream before I took segments with them, and playing it the last 2 days has given me like a really good appreciation for it. It's been a lot of fun. There's a lot of depth to it, and just the volume of content is huge too. Like, the fact that our first run with one character lasted 4 hours, and you could probably do half a dozen or even a dozen runs with each character and get a lot of unique content out of it, means there's a ton of replayability. Why did Gargadon have haste? Because suspend creatures have haste when they come off a suspend. Because magic. The humor in Griftlands is on point. I agree. Little details about the humor that the game does are excellent. Red. This is a very good draw. So I just Stone Rain them and then take a bunch of cards out of their hand, right? So this will make them sack their land and discard 4 cards. Artie, thanks for keeping on with the tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. So this is basically our nut draw, because then next turn we're going to get to Crashing Footfalls. Oh, they're actually playing the Lukka deck we're going to play on Wednesday with Planebound Accomplice here. So we played Slay the Spire on stream, and you can watch me play that on my YouTube channel. I actually really didn't like Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire just felt like a card game mechanic game, whereas Griftlands is an actual RPG with meaningful storyline and character development. It's not just a card combat simulator with a skin over the top of it. After playing Slay the Spire, I'm never going to touch that game again. With Griftlands, when they add more characters, I might even go back through and do more runs with the default characters too at some point. Just a genuinely good game. So it's not just because of that, sure. So if you haven't seen Griftlands has a very similar you're drafting a deck as you go type thing. And the difference between the two is that Griftlands is very storyline driven, and I didn't really like the aspect of Slay the Spire where I was just min-maxing a deck against the computer, whereas like with Griftlands, I felt that I'm actually playing an RPG, and that aspect of it I really enjoyed. Like, when I play single-player games, they tend to be things like that. Like, Skyrim was the last single-player game I really got into, and while obviously Griftlands isn't an open world like Skyrim, it's an RPG-type setting like that. It's very rare that the originator of a game genre is the best game in that genre. Agree. Yes, RPG games with card game battle mechanics are very neat. Big agree. Yeah, they're dead, so we'll go play a land, play monkey, sack monkey, and the lands to Gargadon. And they'll die. as someone who's old and doesn't really have good dexterity anymore, it's kind of fun playing, maybe never had good dexterity. It's kind of fun playing an RPG game where there isn't a dexterity element deciding how well my character does, right? Like, even hack and slash games like Diablo and Skyrim and stuff like that, there's a huge dexterity element to those games. Whereas with Griftlands, you get to enjoy the RPG experience while removing that dexterity element. Turn-based combat. Yeah, exactly. And that's part of the reason why I like Raid too, right? Like all of Raid is it's a turn-based combat strategy game. At its core. All right, what are we doing here? So Grafdigger's Cage sounds great because it stops Lukka from working. Mystic Dispute, probably not good enough. They have Saheeli, but that's like their only blue card. Maybe I just bring this in as bad mana leak. Come eat pizza, thanks for 19 months. Yeah, not really. The other upside to turn-based games like Griftlands and Raid and Magic and stuff like that is, as a parent with small children, being able to like pause and walk away from my computer at any point is super convenient. Just in case like I'm trying to have leisure time and like the kids need something, I can fully pause it and not miss anything. So if I play games that require a lot of clicking and moving, I actually feel it in my hands the next day. And as someone who uses the computer a lot for work, like my hands being sore the next day isn't worth the enjoyment that I get out of those games. I think I'm just boarding in Cage here. Then maybe I'm getting rid of a Vision, getting rid of a Visions. Since I don't have time to wait for this to unsuspend a lot of the time. Sure, Enya. I didn't say it does anything with Saheeli Felidar. I said it explicitly stops Lukka, which is why I'm boarding it in. All right, let's add a BNR command. Easy mulligan here. Yeah, this is pretty good, right? Looking for a Gargadon, basically. Trying to look for the Auspicious Sterix Mutate deck. If you look back in my backlog for like Temur Mutate or something, I believe it's in there. But again, full disclosure, the reason why I stopped updating standard decks on my website is I don't think any of them are competitive against Jeskai Lukka. I don't like to recommend people build things that I don't think are competitive. I think it's a waste of their wild cards, so. Again, just if you're feeling frustrated with the banned and restricted decisions, I would encourage you to play different formats. And I know that's not always the answer people want to hear, but I think it's the one they need to hear. Magic's a lot of different games in a lot of different ways. And, you know, just because it doesn't appeal to you, you could go. I mean, maybe there's a lot of people that are enjoying Jeskai Lukka mirrors. Historic's great. Modern's fine. A lot of different things to be doing. Oh, block constructed, sure. Yeah. If you look on the YouTube, that's in there. Block constructed sounds fun. Well, that's just rude. Yeah, can anybody who plays Brawl tell me why on God's green earth they banned Winota? What was she doing there? Can someone explain it to me? It was a consistent turn 4 win. How? I want to cycle this. She's just faster than the rest of the format in a lot of ways. Okay. That's fair. She is fairly aggressive because there's low interaction in a lot of decks. Okay. That makes sense. Dear opponent, are you dead yet? Rats. Okay, so Knight turns into Emrakul here. For people that haven't seen the opponent's archetype. So it finds Felidar, Felidar blinks Lukka, Lukka turns Felidar into Emrakul. Okay, so if we draw exactly Electrobalance, we can win the game. Have to draw exactly Electrobalance here. And we're dead. This has, for people that haven't seen this spaghetti monster before, it has a mechanic called Annihilator 6. So even though we're at 16 and can survive a hit from us, we sacrifice our entire board. And then we'll die to it next turn. It would be like having Winota as a companion historic. That's not true. Because, like, the fact that your deck's all singletons is a big difference. I think that's a really false comparison, false equivalence. Didn't we discover that playing Singleton wasn't a big deal in some ways? Sure, but that's different German Space Ace when you're playing a card like Winota that's trying to hit the same things consistently every game. So again, the devil is in the details as always. So I think my plan here, this hand's very good, by the way. Like, Ancestral Visions, or Gargadon, Restore Balance, way to cast it is everything we want to be doing. I think I'm going to shock this in on 1 and suspend Gargadon. Then we'll opt on turn 2 to dig for our 3rd land so we can, as foretold, sweep the board on turn 3. So not quite the turn 2 balance hand that we had in the first game, but pretty close. Perfect. Taking that break from Legacy a bit longer. Not happy with the Laris ban, Ryan? Yeah, that's a good thought. Actually, we've yet to transmute this ever. And it being tapped has not been great. I think that's a good observation. Hopefully they just play like a Saheeli here. Yeah, a third Fiery Isle could be okay. It could also just be fine as like another basic. 18 lands is already pretty low. I feel like 18 with 2 draws is probably fine. Are we about to get combo killed? Alright, so this game should be done. They're going to get to keep Saheeli, but they're going to lose everything. We'll have to discard a card here. That's like not a big deal. I think I keep the land rather than the second As Foretold here. So now we just got to kill them before this kills us. Oh, I didn't have to shock this in because I could have opted on their turn with the As Foretold. Did 2 points of damage to myself. I didn't have to there. Always forget this is on each player's turn. It's not Fires of Invention. Just spent so much time playing Hearthstone lately, chat. And then we have Izzet Charm up on their turn with the As Foretold now. So we should be good to go. Even if they have, like, White Source Path, they're still dead. Alright, we hit the 3-2. I feel like my only big thought on this deck in that set... The list actually feels... relatively trim. The only things we're really not playing as 4-ofs are Borrower, Force, and Crashing Foothills. And I think all of those are pretty fine. I feel like the one change I would make, I feel like the observation that Tolaria West was clunky at a lot of points there is accurate. So I think I would probably just swap this for another basic island, honestly. We're only playing 18 lands, and I think having 3 Fiery Isles is probably a pretty big liability in the... It's a pretty big liability in the burn matchup, which can be winnable still. So I think I'd just go to another basic. I think the rest of this feels really reasonable. I like the main deck. As far as sideboard goes, Mystic Dispute's great. 3 Leylands was fine. I don't know that this mix of stuff was right, but Fry was actually really good. I would definitely leave the Fries in there. Killing Narsets and Tefrees, then random other things felt reasonable. All right, we're going to roll on into some Magic Arena up next. We're going to kick things off with the last standard deck in the deck queue, which is great. And then we're going to play some Historic, and then we're going to close on some more Griftlands today. So I'm going to hit a quick ad roll while I get everything set up and flipped over. We'll be back in just a few minutes with a touch of Standard and then a bunch of Historic. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.